Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Podcast, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's take a look at some stocks on the move this past week with Red Brown. He's Bloomberg News earnings reporter. He joins us here in the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studio. Red, I know Intel is on your radar.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been kind of an interesting week for Intel in general. I guess when we had that news break that they were considering cutting a pretty significant amount of their workforce. So much of the news flow has been so negative for the company heading into earnings. And I don't think anything really has drastically changed for the company since then either. So, yeah, kind of a tough week for Intel in general.
What was fascinating is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the stock was up about 14%, right? And then it got earnings after the close on Thursday. And it was just, I think it was kind of as bad as everybody thought, or even worse.
Wait,
right?
but am I looking at this right, Carol?
What?
Up about 6% on the week, even with today's decline?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it was up 14% ahead of earnings, and then it was chopped
investors
about 7%
cheered,
on Friday.
as like you said, Red, investors cheered the news when Bloomberg reported earlier this week that there would be large layoffs. And then it was pretty bad in terms of the numbers that they said for the current quarter.
The reality kind of was a bummer, right?
This is sometimes what needs to happen, right? Like you need to just kind of reset expectations. If you are going to successfully do the turnaround that everyone's wanting, it just needs to you need to do the short-term pain, and then hopefully things will head the direction you want.
You know who's really resetting expectations? I feel like a lot of the American airlines.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that they're pulling their guidance, again, it makes sense, I guess, given the circumstances that they find themselves in. It's really difficult to get a view even into the second quarter with what demand is going to be. I've heard you guys talking on your show about how people are booking earlier and earlier their flights. That means as a company, you can't get a good feel of what your earnings are going to be, what your revenues are going to be, right?
Right.
I mean, we look at a different.
You listen to us?
All the time.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So just trying to stay in the good books here.
Long-time listener, long-time guest also, Red Brown. So we're talking about Alaska Airlines. That was one of the stocks that you had on your radar this week. Shares for the week down about 7.2%, 7.3%.
Yes. And it's back to this idea that you just can't get a view into what is going to be coming down the pipe. Again, we don't know where travel demand is. We don't know how consumers are thinking about their discretionary wallet necessarily. So again, it makes sense to reset expectations. Just say, we don't know. That's the best transparency that we can give you.
We keep laughing, but it's not so funny, right? How much we hear from CEOs, the C-suite uncertainty, how much we hear from market strategists, everybody, just there is no clarity, right? In terms of what's coming.
One thing I know is I love
that
Nerf.
Red will be back.
Nerf, My Little Pony, Transformers, action figures, dolls.
Barbie Play-Doh.
Hasbro is also on your radar.
That's right.
It's up like 16%
I couldn't
this week.
believe the way that moved this week.
That's
Carol.
amazing.
The reason why I say it's a confusing one is because
it was up almost every day this week.
Barbie, as we spoke about yesterday, is Mattel. But there's this Hasbro Play-Doh partnership.
Well,
or Barbie Play-Doh partnership. Yeah.
You pay a licensing fee and you let the little critters play with Play-Doh.
I think typically when we talk about a company such as this, the first thing people might think of is, wait a second, wouldn't this be affected pretty significantly by tariffs?
Sure. Yeah, but there's sometimes toys and the licensing and things like that. These are things that people are going to buy. I remember it was a couple of quarters ago. People talked about these sort of like minor indulgences they'll give themselves. And toys might be one of those areas where it could still get the attention of people. If it's not the most extreme outlay for somebody, you might be able to spend the $15, $20, $25 it is to buy Monopoly or what have you.
Yeah, and I guess their gaming business did pretty well. And so I think that was some of the interesting thing, their gaming unit driving their beat in the first quarter. So that, it wasn't the Play-Doh Barbie stuff. We're not done with earnings, are we?
No. I mean, we're not even really halfway done, really. Next week is another huge week for us.
You better get some sleep this weekend because, it's going to be a killer one.
The Stock Movers Podcast from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.